Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on menstrual education. My name is Yasa, and I will be your moderator for this session. We are super excited to have you all here today at this late moment because it's quite late, so we are really thankful that you joined us. So today we would like to explore this very important topic together. Menstrual education is key empowering people and promoting sustainability, and we are thrilled to have some incredible speakers with us today who are doing incredible and groundbreaking work in this area. We are really excited to dive into this essential topic, one that touches so many layers, from health and education to sustainability and poverty. So what makes today's session especially important is how deeply intersectional the issue of menstruation is. The menstrual education isn't only about health, but also about intersection between poverty, gender equality, environmental sustainability, and even human rights. So that's exactly what we will explore today, all together with our speakers. So I also would like to notify you that unfortunately one of our speaker, Nastya from Ukraine, couldn't join us because of her some problems that she had. But I hope that in the future we will still have the opportunity to explore her journey and the journey of her organization that helps Ukrainian women in Poland. So before we begin, I would like to briefly introduce our speakers for today. So giving the floor to every panelist, I would like you to unmute yourself and introduce yourself and give us just a few sentences about yourself and also about your work that you do together with your organization or maybe alone. So yeah, the first speaker I would like to give the floor to is Abby O'Callaghan-Platt. So yeah, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Yasia. Hi, my name's Abby. I work for an environmental organisation called Voice. We're based in Ireland, and the focus of our work here in Voice is around Sustainable Development Goal 12, responsible production and consumption. And I coordinate the MENSY project. So the MENSY project is, well, MENSY is for short. Sorry, I'm just seeing something popping up. It says that I'm speaking Ukrainian on this. I'm gonna have to, yep. Okay, I don't know what to do with it, but anyway, so yeah, MENSY is the shortened project name for menstruation, empowerment and sustainability, and it's a 2-year project, and it's funded by the EU under the Erasmus Plus cooperation partnerships, and administered by Lurgas in Ireland. And I'm working on this project as part of a large consortium across Europe of 8 project partners. So there's ourselves Voice in Ireland, and in the UK there is the Women's Environmental Network. In Portugal there is Zero. In Spain, in Catalonia, there is ReZero.
So, Abby,
yeah.
could I interrupt you for a second? Because later I will give you more time to
Okay.
tell more about the project. So this part is more about just give a few sentences about,
Okay.
yeah, so just let's keep it short for now, and then we will give you more time a
Okay.
bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, the next speaker I would like to present to you is Laura Villa. So yeah, could you also give us a few sentences about yourself and your work?
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the invitation to this talk. First of all, thanks to all of the audience that are listening to us. I am Laura Vila. I am project coordinator in ReZero, and I will talk today about what we are doing a little bit in ReZero and what is doing, especially the Catalan government, due to related with the menstruation, which is very innovative and pioneer ideas and innovative actions, and I will explain more about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sounds really interesting. I'm super excited to hear about that. Yeah, so our next speaker is from Bosnia, and her name is Zilka Spahic-Sheliak. So yeah, I hope she joined us. Could you maybe unmute yourself and tell a bit more about your work?
I think Zilka didn't join, at least for now. We are now checking what's happening about the link and registration. But
Yeah,
so
well.
if she joins, I will write her to just enter and we will let her in.
Okay, perfect. It's fine. So yeah, we hope she will join us really soon because technical problems are happening sometimes. So yeah, we can go directly to Joe Linehan. Joe, could you present yourself, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Jo and I'm an environmental journalist here in Ireland. I undertook my master's in management for sustainable development and I graduated last year, but as part of that master's, I undertook some research into the barriers that prevent women in Ireland from switching from traditional period products to reusable products, and I'll be talking about that research and its findings today.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so could we open the slide 2? And I would just shortly present the agenda for our webinar today. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So yeah, this webinar will address some key aspects of menstrual education, menstrual poverty, and the sustainability of menstrual products. It will include presentations by each of our speakers, followed by a panel discussion, and we will end this session with questions and answers, where you can ask your questions as a listener in the chat. Lastly, please know that this session is being recorded and you will find links to the further resources such as our email, our Instagrams, and also how you can contact us in the chat afterwards at the end of the session. And yeah, so we can start for now. And I would like to give the floor to our first speaker, which is Abby O'Callaghan-Platt, who coordinates the Erasmus Plus project MENSY. So Abby, we are really excited to hear more about your work on menstruation, empowerment, and sustainability. Yeah, so we would be really excited to listen to you right now. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, so the project is a 2-year project called Menstruation, Empowerment and Sustainability, and it's funded by the EU under Erasmus Plus Cooperation Partnerships for Youth Education. So the project's bringing together eight organizations spread across the EU that all have a history of working within the field of menstruation and are passionate about reusable menstrual items. So the project partners are the Women's Environmental Network in the UK, Zero in Portugal, ReZero in Spain, Women Engaged for a Common Future in the Netherlands, Zelenka, I can never say it, sorry, Friends of the Earth, Croatia in Croatia, Green Zone in Hungary, and Zero Waste Lviv in Ukraine. So we're coming up to 10 months into the 2-year project, and the aim of the project really is to design a suite of training materials for youth leaders. So our ultimate aim is to really reach young people across Europe and advise them on their different options so that they can make fully informed choices. And we're doing this through creating training resources for youth leaders. And right now, what we've been doing is looking at training that exists on an international level, looking for examples of best practice that we can build upon to create our own training resources. And in 2025, we'll go on to train youth leaders in each of the countries. I suppose our forthcoming thing is really around the creation of a youth advisory panel. Within each of the 8 countries, we're establishing a youth advisory panel made up of young people and youth leaders to support and guide us through the production of training materials for youth leaders to ensure that they're relevant to their needs. And then following on from this, we'll be training youth leaders all across Europe in menstruation.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. It's really insightful presentation of MENSY project. And actually, I have additional question to you regarding this information. So could you maybe tell us more about the results of the survey that you have been doing for this time together with your team, especially in relation to reusable menstrual products? So what are the main, maybe you could tell us shortly, what are the main challenges people face when considering this more environmental friendly option? Yeah, and in general, maybe you could tell us a bit more about the survey.
Yeah, so we sent out a survey to across Europe. We spent some time developing our survey questions, looking at all of the surveys conducted to date on this topic, and put together a survey that was sent out across the 8 countries. It was sent out through the partner organizations, but also the youth associations linked with any of the partner organization. We got over 2,000 respondents to the survey, and the criteria for taking part was that people were under 30 and had had their period in the last 3 months. So this is a youth-focused, obviously people are menstruating for longer than age 30, but this is a youth-focused survey, and we wanted to look at young people's experiences around menstruation and the choices that they were making. I suppose, first of all, it's just a caveat that the survey respondents, of course, many of them found this survey through our own social media, and so many more of them would have been more environmentally conscious than your average person. So that's always something to take into consideration. And based on that, we did have a high number of respondents already using reusables. We had 46% using reusable menstrual items, which would be, quite a high percentage, really. 27% of them were using as a mix with disposables, and 19% in total were using them exclusively. And what we found was that the really big factors influencing the use of reusables were both age and gaining a higher education. So as people got older and went up, through the education system, through university, they were much more inclined to be using reusable solutions rather than disposables. If we looked at the figures just for the younger cohort, maybe those below the age of 20, there was a much higher level of young people using disposable menstrual items. So we asked them about the influences on their product choices. And what we found is that those who were younger and were more inclined towards using disposable menstrual items, mainly sought their information from, say, their mother. Often it was like 71% were seeking information. That was their primary source of information. So it was only then as young people got older and went out into the world and they gathered more sources of information, they were starting to learn a little more of their different options, that they were more inclined to go towards choosing reusables as an option. But many of the majority were environmentally concerned. 79% said that they were concerned about the environmental impacts, and 66% said that they were, bothered by the presence of plastic in their products. So there was environmental concern, but there was with the younger people, there was a lack of knowledge, of the products, and a lack of knowledge on the ways to use them, to take care of them.
Okay, I actually have the question just from your personal opinion about that. So do you have any ideas how we could actually raise the level of awareness among young people, like before 20? And yeah, maybe we should have like menstrual education subject in school or something like that. Do you have any ideas about it?
Well, personally, I feel that this should be incorporated into school education. I know it differs from country to country, and being part of this larger consortium, I can see that there is a big variability in the level of menstrual education available to young people in the formal education system. Here in Ireland, we do have formal education on menstruation. It takes place when young people are age 11, 12, and it does speak about menstrual items. So there is a book that all of the children at this age are provided with, and it does say, about disposable pads and tampons. The newest version of the book actually does say more sustainable options are available that you might want to try once you've got used to using, to having your period. But it doesn't tell any information on what are these sustainable options and what makes these more sustainable than pads and tampons. So really, there's very little information available. So I suppose I feel that the best way to increase uptake would be to provide a good level of information on this. And I suppose I also feel that there is a cost barrier to the uptake of reusable solutions, whereas we know that by using reusables, you're actually going to save a lot of money in the long run. And for sure, with something like a menstrual cup, it's going to save a lot of money and over time. But there is an upfront cost barrier. So I think that solutions need to be put in place, and support on a national level needs to be provided to prompt young people to make the choice to use reusables.
Yeah, thank you a lot. It's really interesting and important topic. We also actually have something similar in Ukraine. We have just like biology classes where people just tell children about their physiological body functioning. Yeah, but we don't have any information. Actually, maybe Irina, we have she's not our speaker, but she's our colleague within the project. So maybe she could tell more about it in Ukraine. How is it going with reusable menstrual products? And yeah, maybe you could jump in.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to talk about such important topic of sustainable menstruation. But how can we talk about any issues of sustainability if the topic of menstruation itself is still not fully, let's say, not tabooed in different countries, especially right now in Ukraine, we have a lot of activities from different NGOs, some support from UNICEF, from UN agencies on promoting menstrual education among school children, development of curriculum, but it's still not part of the official mandatory curriculum in the country. So right now our work at Zero Waste to Live and other NGOs is to make sure that those who develop the educational materials include also information on reusable options, reusable hygiene products such as menstrual cups, discs, pads. And with the war situation, it worsened because the economic burden is higher, a lot of displaced people in different cities. I'm very thankful to our partners here, Zelena Akcija from Croatia and Gridon from Hungary, who supported in 2022 us with reusable menstrual products, and we had a whole campaign and educational workshops and provided reusable options to women in Lviv. Some of them were local, some generally displaced people, and many of them said that they didn't have an opportunity to hear about the products in their native, in their cities before. So I think that this project that we are now working on MENSY, developing educational materials, and especially peer-to-peer approach when young people can talk to young people about menstruation and share knowledge and their experiences also on reusable menstrual products is quite important.
Yeah, I think Irina has some problems with connection. Oh, okay. It works right now. Yeah, thank you so much, Irina. This is really insightful to hear about the practices of using the popularizing the reusable menstrual products in Ukraine, which is really important. Thank you a lot for this. I think we can talk about it a bit more at the end of the session as well, about the best practices from different countries. Yeah, so I would like to move slowly to our next speaker, which is Laura Vila, who will be sharing insights about governmental initiative in Catalonia related to menstrual education and sustainability. So Laura, we are really excited to hear how Catalonia has approached this issue and what strategies have been effective in driving change. Yeah, so please tell us more about that. We're really excited.
Okay, thank you. Hi again. I will share a presentation I have. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes, perfect.
But maybe you could put it on the full screen if possible. But if not, then it's also fine.
Oops, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe then it's fine. Let's leave it like this.
Okay. Yes. Better now. Let's start with a brief presentation of who we are. We are Zero. We are an NGO that are in Barcelona, in Catalonia, and also in Mallorca, in the Balearic Islands, in Spain. And we have 20 years of experience on helping society move to a zero-waste society, to a zero-waste model. We do strategic campaigns. We do also waste prevention plans and policies. We also have people that do create studies and knowledge creation and socialization. And we also do advocacy with politicians, which is a very important part for us too. Okay, so about menstruation, we have a program called New Period Program, which evidences the impacts of in terms of health and environmental problems that have single-use menstrual products. Okay, it also is a program that breaks taboos about menstruation and promotes alternatives, zero waste, like menstrual cups, like underwear or clothes pads. Here you can see some images of what are we doing. I will pass it a bit quickly because what you want to hear now is what the government is doing. But just to start, we started this program with two well-known studies that are single-use menstrual product baby nappies and wet wipes, the environmental and economic cost. Zero Waste Europe commissioned us these studies. One is about environmental and economic cost, and the other is about policy recommendation, right? Here we have some material that we also use in ReZero. We have a bloody manifesto, and we have a guide, also online guide, that people can consult about menstruation and doubts they have, etc. Also, we have identified more than we have a network of sustainable period-friendly toilets. What we call is friendly toilets of sustainable menstruation, toilets that have a point of water where you can just change the menstrual cup. And we have this network that has more nowadays. It started in Barcelona a pair of weeks ago, and now it has more than 850 toilets, friendly toilets of period of sustainable menstruation identified. Also, we do social networks, we do a lot of media and website, and also we do activities for public and administrations. We work in Catalan, Spanish, and European level. We also take part in MENSY project, as Avi said, okay? And we work for municipalities, administrations, schools, and other stakeholders. And we do an important part of advocacy, right? We help to do the Catalan draft of waste, the barbaric implementation also of waste, and European regulation. And the Catalan government commissioned us to help to do this comprehensive menstrual and climatic equity plan 2023-2025. It's the main thing I wanted to explain to you today, no, part of what we are and what we do of New Period program. But this plan, it's from the government of Catalonia. It's called Comprehensive Menstrual and Climatic Equity Plan. It's on the, sorry, I can see now. It's in the National Sexual and Reproductive Rights Strategy, and it has 62 actions plan and 7 areas of action. Some of the areas are menstrual education for childhood, adolescent, and youth adulthood, menstrual education in the field of social community intervention, accessibility of appropriate products and spaces, measures in the workplace, training of professionals, fostering research and knowledge, and dissemination of the awareness rate. No? And now this plan was led by the Ministry of Equality and Feminism. Yes, you are right. We have this ministry. It's the first time, I think, in the history in Catalonia, we have this ministry, which is very innovative to have it, Ministry of Equality and Feminism. But this plan has been done with the participation of all departments, like health, education, environment, etc., no? Ecofeminism, etc. The aim of this plan is to guarantee a dignified, free, and healthy experience of menstruation and climateric, and its ambitious is to reach the people who menstruate in Catalonia, about 2.5 million women that menstruate and people that menstruate in Catalonia. Here you can see what the president of the Catalan government said in the first investiture speech. No, we will prioritize access to reusable products such as the menstrual cup because they have positive impact on economic health and the environment. No? This is just an example of how the politicals in this moment are involved. Right now, the president has changed, but we hope the plan will continue. The main goals are to give free access to menstrual products, especially to sustainable ones, and combat the taboos and stigma associated with menstruation and climakteria. Okay, and it promotes gender justice, is to break taboos and advocates for women's health, social justice, reducing menstrual poverty, which affects out of 1 of 5 women in Catalonia, the menstrual poverty, and climate justice. Also, it reduce weight. No, it is produced in Catalonia 9,000 tons here of single-use menstrual product, which is a lot. No, so we want to, in Catalonia, this plan wants to promote not only the menstrual poverty, it also wants to promote the sustainable products. No, and some actions performed is that it has been an education and community program called My Period, My Rules. In Catalan, it's La meva regla, las meves regles. It's like a name of words, My Period, My Rules. Free distribution also of reusable menstrual products in high schools. A lot of high school has passed into this program and they have been given these menstrual products you have seen. Later, I will give you more numbers. And one of the biggest action is to provide reusable menstrual products to everyone through the pharmacies. Catalonia has become the first country in the world to provide free reusable menstrual products. From March 2024, all women in Catalonia can go to the pharmacy to receive a specialized advice, because you can also receive advice, and choose one product between underwear, a menstrual cup, or 2 clothes pads. You can do it with a QR that you have in the health system app. You discharge a QR and you can use it one time. So all women from 12 to 60 years old can use this QR and get for free these reusable menstrual products and try it, no? Which is very, very important. It is available in all the pharmacies around Catalonia, about 3,300 pharmacies, and all the pharmacies have received training. No? And here you can see some images how it works. So here is the one of the logo of the campaigns. And here is, well, one of the news, no, that Catalonia becomes the first country in the world to provide free reusable menstrual products to everyone. And that measure has helped a lot to talk about menstruation in Catalonia, and especially also help to promote the reusable menstrual products and end more the menstrual poverty. And that's it. I hope everyone has understood. If you have any question.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really interesting, and I think it's important if the government of every country could join, could create the same program for our own countries. Yeah, really impressive work, I would say.
Yeah.
So I have actually a short question. So maybe you could just give us some insight about the numbers, looking at more explicit results of your, like, of this project, of this program. Could you just give us a short information about that?
Yeah. Well, the government is taking the data. Yeah, it hasn't finished yet, so it is still going on, no? But for the moment, till the year 2023, more than 85,000 students were formed, and they were distributed at the age of 15 years old, 42,000 products at that age. And also the products distributed in the pharmacies, we don't know yet the numbers that have been distributed, but we have seen that really has had a really good acceptance for the society, or part of it, But we don't know how many people have used this QR in the pharmacies yet. But more of them of these 2.5 million people, for sure, a lot of people, because it's a good opportunity and a lot of people want to take part of it,
Yeah, I agree. It's really incredible work. Yeah, this is great.
Rezero has assessed this plan also, because we have been doing this work previously and then we have assessed this plan. But now I am showing you the plan, of the Catalan government, but we are talking as a Rezero, but we have assessed this plan. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's also quite interesting fact that this plan was presented by a man politician, which is also quite, I think, interesting fact about the program. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for your presentation and insightful information.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, so I think we could move to our next speaker, which is Jo Linehan. She's an editor for the climate supplement of Sunday Times and the sustainability columnist. She completed her master thesis on reusable menstrual products and the taboos surrounding them. So, Jo, we are really excited to hear more about your research and interesting facts about that.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for having me. So yes, I'm very interested in sustainability and in particular period products, their impact on the environment. At the moment, single-use period products are, sorry, can you guys hear me? Great. So I guess what inspired the research was the fact that single-use period products are the 5th most polluting items on Europe's beaches. And many people don't know that their period products are in fact made of plastic. And while legislation has come through the EU around single-use plastics and eliminating them, period products have not been a focus. So I wanted to figure out what are the barriers to people switching from traditional period products to reusables. So I surveyed 466 menstruating people in Ireland. And I really wanted to look at the economic, educational, and behavioral barriers that exist. So some of the really interesting stats were that 77% of people who were surveyed use traditional tampons and pads. And the most popular brands that they're using are Always and Tampax. So those really big prevalent brands are the ones that everyone pretty much is using. What was interesting was that more than half of the survey respondents had tried a reusable product. Most of them had opted for one for health reasons, so not for the environment, but they just wanted to find a way that was a little bit nicer or easier to use. And for them, the most important thing was that the product was comfortable, convenient, easy, and reliable. So for the people who had tried a product and then had decided to not keep using it, it was for one of those reasons. So they either weren't sure how to use it or they were afraid it wouldn't work properly for them, which I thought was really interesting. So I guess the really big takeaways from the study were that, which actually echoes the other speakers, most women, the first product that they use in their life is the product that they end up using throughout their life. So unless you speak to users when they're starting to menstruate, or their mothers speak to them at that stage, it's very hard for them to change their behavior later in life. So if we can bring in education, which is what Abby's doing in schools with young people, teach them how to use the products, give them the products to try, they're much more likely to bring them through their life. Another really interesting part of the study was that I interviewed a midwife who works at a very large maternity hospital here in Ireland, the largest maternity hospital. And what she shared was that, menstrual products are available to them in the hospital, but they're always single use plastic period products. So she said that the nurses are not educated in reusable products, but if they were, and if they had reusable options and they could share those with new mothers or patients, that would be a great way to educate people again later in life, and that would have a really good filtering effect. So I thought that was really interesting too. But the really big takeaways were that government bodies, hospitals, public health facilities, and even charities who are doing good work need to do that good work with reusable products. So even if they're supplying free products or they're working on different education programs around menstruation, they're relying on single-use products. So we really need to educate those big bodies and get them to use reusable products so that it filters down. Free schemes are great. I know that Abby and others here on the call are working on those. Getting the products into people's hands is really important. And that is a big barrier for people with the Moon Cup in particular, that it's, you know, it's quite a big investment up front. So just helping people get on board is really important. And another big part of it was the taboo part. So a lot of people who were surveyed don't like to talk about their period. They're still embarrassed. In Ireland, there's a lot of shame around personal health and sex education. So a lot of people still aren't comfortable having that conversation with their friends and family. So breaking down those barriers, making periods and talking about menstruation something that is a lot more easy and fun and maybe not as taboo is also going to play a big part in people experimenting and trying different products. But most importantly, I think the most important thing is that most people who were surveyed did not know that their products were included plastics and toxic ingredients. And health is the biggest driver for them to change, not the environment. So if we can get the education out there that these products are made of plastic, they include different glues, different toxins in them, and that actually making the switch to a reusable product will be better for their health, that's actually a really good way to unlock people who are slow to change their behavior.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Thank you for this nice telling. Also, when I'm talking with my friends personally, I also see that most of them thinking about the part of the product. So this is the most motivating aspect for them. Yeah, but I also think that from your telling, I think it's important to maybe raise the attractiveness of reusable products in the eyes of consumers and maybe popularize them through different platforms like, I don't know, Instagram, TikTok among young people as well. And I think I'm sure there are many channels which popularize this kind of products on TikTok as well, on Instagram, etc. But I think we maybe need to invest more in that. Yeah. So I actually have also a question to you. Yeah. So during your research, which conclusion about reusable menstrual products and taboos did you find the most interesting and insightful? I think it's already connected to what you have already said before, but maybe there is like really a big spotlight on the specific aspect.
Yes, and definitely to touch on what you mentioned there about social media playing a role. I looked at the statistics around menstrual related content on TikTok and how much more popular it has become, and people sharing their own menstrual experiences, their experiences with reusable products. And in Ireland in particular, there is one influencer who speaks a lot about reusable menstruation products, and looking at her stats and the impact she had, it was a really great way to break down taboos because she's someone who people look up to and really enjoy her content. Her talking about using a moon cup actually opened up very positive conversations around it. So there's definitely a need to not only educate people formally through the government, through different campaigns, through schools, but informally through the use of social media and content so that people are digesting it in a way that doesn't feel traditionally educational, but feels fun and feels like they're part of a community that helps them engage for sure.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, thank you so much. That was really interesting. And I will also take some points for myself from this conversation, I think. Yeah, thank you. Also, one more thing that I would like to highlight, that unfortunately one of our speakers couldn't join us, which is Zilka from Bosnia. Yeah, it seems like there are some technical problems that she faced. So yeah, unfortunately, we will not hear her today. Yeah, but I think we can have a lot of fun during this session. Yeah, so next, we could maybe move slowly to the to our panel discussion. Yeah, but first I would like just to recap slowly all the things that we have been talking about. So, as you can see, these issues don't exist in isolation. They all are interconnected. So sustainability, gender inequality, stigma, and poverty, they are all overlapping concerns when we talk about menstruation. The intersectionality here shows that a truly comprehensive approach to menstrual education and empowerment requires us to address not just environmental aspect, but also a social, economic, cultural, political factors at play. So with keeping it in our mind, we can move slowly to our panel discussion. Yeah. So right now, I would also suggest our listeners to submit your questions for the speakers through the chat. So after the panel discussion and during the Q&A session, we can highlight them during the session. And yeah, so I would like to start the discussion by posing a few questions to the whole panel. So feel free to jump in and share your thoughts. Also, I would suggest maybe it's a nice idea to also suggest some people from our listeners to jump in if you have some thoughts in your mind, or maybe you can just raise your hand and we can give you the floor. But first, of course, we would like to hear the opinion of our speakers. So the first question is, what are the biggest needs and the hardest obstacles to overcome in your work? So yeah, you can just unmute yourself and let us know.
I'll go first. I would say that getting people to change their behavior is very, very difficult. People love routine, they get stuck in their ways. If something is working for them, unless they see a big, economic or health benefit to making a change, they're very slow to do so. And even though climate change and pollution and all of those issues are very important to all of us on the call, in my experience, a lot of people are not activated to do things for the sake of the environment. They need other things to motivate them. So that's the big challenge for me, is to make the argument that things that are better for the planet are also better economically and for our health. So that's the biggest challenge for me, for sure.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Joe. I think it really makes sense. And yeah, so I see Abby, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with Joe. I think that that we need to look to other ways, really, as well, of promoting reusables to, point out the other positives as well. There's only going to be some people who are going to be motivated by environmental reasons to make a shift. And if we can focus on the other positives that they bring into people's lives, a lot of people are very concerned about the health aspect. I think that that's a good one to highlight. As well as, comfort and protection from leaks. Those are obviously very, very high level concerns for people to have around their menstrual items. And I really just feel that we need to get more information out there in formal education. But like you were saying, Yasia and Joe, about the reaching people through social media, looking at different ways to get in touch with people, and yeah, not putting it as such as an educational campaign, but more kind of a fun campaign, you know, to like, I know that there's current moves to put together a textiles campaign looking at fast fashion, and that's working through TikTok. And it would be great to see something like that rolled out for menstrual items as well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Maybe somebody else want to say something about this? Otherwise, we can move to the next thing. Okay, so I don't think
Yeah,
so.
sorry. I
Oh,
was
yeah, sorry, Laura. Yeah, say.
Thank you. No, I agree with both of you. I think one of the challenges we have is that to change habit, it's not easy, no? And if we are used to single-use products, to change to reusable products, menstrual products, it's not easy, but through education and continuous campaign, not only one campaign, no, continuous campaign, just talking about this topic and focusing on this topic, which is very sensible and also intimate and full of taboos, no? But you need to afford it and to talk about it a lot, no? With not one campaign, some campaigns, because changing habits, it's not easy.
Yeah, definitely. I also would like to share with you, to present you one of our partners from Cameroon, Francois. I'm sorry, I'm sure I am not saying your name right. So maybe you could present yourself shortly and tell us about your research insights a bit more. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. My name is Francoise. The C is always pronounced as an F. So my name is Francoise Nwabufo. I'm the coordinator of Family Health and Development Foundation, FAHIDEF, in Cameroon. And we've been working on the menstrual poverty for some time now. This year, last year, yes, we started training young girls in the community on making their own menstrual, eco-friendly, non-toxic menstrual pad themselves. So we teach them how to hand sew with thread and needle, so that they can identify the materials around them and also sew it. And also we try to sew in big quantity and distribute in the communities and in some schools. That's one of our objectives. And then also the infrastructure needed for menstrual management is not found in every environment. So we advocate and sensitize on that. There's a lot of taboo around menses in our environment. A lot of parents don't even talk to their girl child what it is all about. And one other thing in our organization is that our boys and the men are curious, and so we engage them in our talk and in the sewing. You see, the young boys are very excited. Most of the interesting questions are being asked by them. And so we have quite some challenges, but we really want to go far. I really want to thank Ellen, who has really been behind us. She goes very far to look for me and see what she can do. The first day she heard me about what we are doing, she said, I'm going to do something. And she's really been trying to see how she and her team in Voice can lend a hand to us. And so through them, we are expecting 2 machines that will be arriving. I want to tell you that the women are seriously waiting for those machines to begin work. So with that, we want to really start sewing in big quantities, because we have to teach them, have some stencils that we'll use with different measurements for the heavy flow, for light flow, for middle weight, and So all those things, and then we teach them, and then through them we can produce, because we've been able to, we work with a community on holistic care. And so we take quite, we are engaged with a lot of their things that occupies them. And so menstrual poverty is one of them. And most of them, their parents are still in the reproductive age. And so we cannot take the young girls and leave them. So it's a kind of both the young girls and also their mothers that are involved in the work. And like I was saying, every structure has a challenge. We don't have a partner. We are not being funded in this activity. We are really struggling to implement this activity and really carry it. And I want to tell you, doing it in the community is really, really not easy. And especially when most people are not really adhered to that, there's still a lot of taboo. Like I say, even some of those young girls are very shy to talk to us. So sometimes we have to design a questionnaire, an anonymous questionnaire. They don't need to put their name, but to answer some questions for us, so that we can record our story as we move on in this work with them. So since March, we've not been able to train again. We are really expecting that even as the machine arrives, we will need materials. Our materials are locally sourced, and we do not use any plastic in the sewing. We've been able to identify local materials that can really work without plastic. So they are really eco-friendly. They are non-plastic, non-toxic materials that we use. All the same, we are a young organization and starting newly. We'll be glad if we can also have other partners that can mentor us and into seeing how they are bacteria free, because one of the things we also teach them is how to keep it free from bacteria, how to sterilize it from time to time. So that aspect is also very important. And so to keep it bacteria free also. So we'll not mind. In the future, we also like to get into the diaper, because that's another big issue in the community. So for now, that is what we do. We have quite some challenge. Like I was saying, we don't have a partner. It's something we have been desiring to do for many years, until we just got a machine. We just started doing that. And thank God that people are reaching hand to us like The Voice. We are hoping that we can do much more. If we have some assistance, we can reach much more people, get to more schools, and then implement the work better. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I will take, but that's a little of what we are doing. We are doing both for the children and for their parents. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Your work sounds really valuable, and I think we all can. It can contribute to all of us as a nice practice from Cameroon and from your organization. I think if I understood it right, you said that also young boys are really excited to hear about this menstruation topic.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think it's also really important to educate men and boys about demonstration, because we are only talking about education among women about demonstration, but I think it's really important men to understand us in this, and also would be well educated in the menstruation topic. Yeah, so do we have any other question to our partner, can you please repeat the name? Françoise. Yeah, I remember it right now. So I'm sorry. Yeah, Françoise, thank you. So maybe somebody else has questions. I don't think so. Okay. Thank you, Françoise. So I think we can move to the next question of our panel discussion. So how can your research or work be implemented in practical ways to address the challenges of menstrual education and poverty? I think this question is mostly addressed to our speaker Joe, who had her research, but also maybe we have some people from the audience who could also share something regarding this question.
Yeah, I think for me, our speakers are like great examples of what needs to be done and what is being done. I think what Francoise is doing is amazing, actually teaching people about what is in their period products, how to make them themselves. And I think a really special point there was engaging men in the conversation. I don't think we're going to break through any taboos or shame if this remains a solely feminine issue. So bringing men into the conversation, I think, is such a great point and really, really important. And that when, you know, children or teenagers are being educated, that it's for everyone in the class. And from my own research, it's all about education. So running national campaigns about the health benefits of reusable products, allowing people to access the products and try them if they want to, educating people about the fact that there is plastic in their products, and really breaking down those barriers, which I know Abby and others are doing at the moment. And then also, I think having conversations like this and talking together and sharing our different findings cross-culturally, because I think every country's experience of menstruation is quite different. So sharing different experiences is also super important. That was definitely what I found through talking to people.
Yeah, thank you so much. If anybody else would like to answer this question from their perspective.
Yeah, in terms of the possible implementations of our work, well, the aim of the project really is to create training resources that youth leaders can go on and use. And as part of the project, we're going to be running a Train the Trainer course for 160 youth leaders across Europe. And these youth leaders will be trained in everything around the topic of menstruation, including games that they can play with young people, including information and a suite of resources. And then these youth leaders will, as part of the training, go on to commit to training young people within the year following them being trained. So we'll train 160 youth leaders, and then these youth leaders will go out into their settings, whatever setting they may work in with young people, and bring this information to them. So so the aim of the project is a very practical: how can we reach these young people through this training? So yeah, so hopefully there is a very much a direct implementation of this.
Yeah, it's really, I'm also really excited about that. So maybe I could also ask our technical team to leave the link to our MENSY project page. Yeah, maybe we have some people from the audience who would be interested about this, so they would have the contact of somebody of our team, just in case if they want to join the youth council and be a part of MENSY project. Yeah, so let's move to the next question. And so we were partially talking about this already before, but what kind of stigma, prejudice or taboos have you encountered when speaking about menstruation or implementing of your work? Or maybe you have some personal stories, experiences from your life when you have been experiencing this kind of taboos.
Can I jump in?
Just unmute yourself and yeah, thank you.
Okay, just that I wanted to say that another strategy we use is during the training, we identify those that are doing very well, and then we make them ambassadors and give them material so they can go and train others. So that could be like a training of trainers, but it would be good to have an elaborate program like you have planning to train youth leaders in the Europe. But in our little way, what we do is during the training, we identify those that are doing very well, that can really teach well, and then we capacitate them with the materials and we ask them to go and train other girls.
Yeah, thank you so much, Francoise, for your input on this. Yeah, maybe you also would have some other would have answers on the question about stigma and taboos in your societies, in your countries.
I suppose I can jump in on the workshops that we've been running here in Ireland. I would say all in all, there has been a really positive response. When we started out running them, I feel that it was pretty slow. There was a slow uptake by schools compared to any other workshops that we were offering to schools. I did have one experience in which I was actually, it was an online workshop around menstruation, and I was actually kind of cut off by a teacher saying that she thought it was inappropriate because there were boys in the class, so that was quite startling. But I have to say that was a one-off situation. Subsequent to that, we've run them in schools, and really the teachers have been very enthusiastic. I found that it's really important to find the kind of champion teacher within each school. Within many schools, there's one teacher who's extremely enthusiastic and really, you know, bringing me in, you know, getting us to talk to all of the kids and very keen to get them involved. So I think that is key. We worked with several schools, and some of the schools selected to have both like a kind of all gender, all the kids in together classes, and then others selected to have kind of a gender segregated classes on this. So I think this is a really interesting topic about the involvement of boys. I mean, personally, I would feel that the involvement of boys is crucial, because the separating out kind of lends further to the idea of a taboo, you know, something that's stigmatized and has to be hidden away. What was really interesting is that when we surveyed the young people after the workshops, we asked about, like, you know, if they were in a gender segregated class or not, and you know what they thought of that, how they would have liked it, and pretty much everybody liked what they had been given. So you know, the ones that were mixed gender were by and large very happy with it, and the ones that were single sex were also very happy with it. So I thought that was quite interesting in itself. But yeah, I would say that there is some degree of topic still taboo, sorry, still involved in the topic for sure, even by the very suggestion by teachers that this would have to be a segregated topic. But yeah, but there's also a large amount of positivity and support for this work, I would say, here in Ireland anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Abby. I can relate to this also in our country, and how it was how the education was provided at my school, for example, when I was at school. So that was quite awkward, I think, for boys and girls to listen about this publicly, which is really wrong, I think. So yeah, definitely we need more education on that, and also we should include men and boys in the education. Okay, so do we have any other opinions here? Maybe we have some men in the audience who would like also to join the discussion, just in case. Okay. So we can also move to other questions, and at the end I will just check the chat and will read the questions loud. So we have the next question for our panel discussion, which is Considering that this topic intersects with various issues, including the environmental impact of single-use plastics and menstrual poverty, how should we approach this issue to address both environmental and social aspects? Yeah, actually, I think that this question, we already have answer on this question, including so many practices from our previous speakers all around the world, but maybe we have other opinions in the room who would like to talk about this. Otherwise, we can just go to the next question. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Yeah. The next question, I think we also have passed it during our conversation. So I think that we can slowly move to our Q&A session. And I will just go through the chat, reading the comments and questions. Oh yeah, I would also like to mention the Environmenstrual week that we have right now within our project and in general. So this action started today, and we have our campaign this year and the call for menstrual act. Also our I can send, maybe somebody could unmute themselves and tell a bit more about that, maybe Helen or Abby. Yeah, just a few
Hi,
words.
yeah, thanks. Happy Environmenstrual Week, everybody. Just started today, lots of action, and this session is part of that, as it is part of the MENSY's projects as well, and when is part of the MENSY's project. I'm very proud to be involved. I just wanted to highlight just our focus for this year, totally inspired by the Catalonian Act and Laura's work in ReZero, and work in Scotland as well, it must be said, on the kind of free period products, the reusable period products, the education as well, and the promoting of reusable period products. So inspired by all that, we're calling for a Menstrual Health, Dignity and Sustainability Act in the UK, and we've put out a call and got lots of sign-ups supporting that act, and we'll be pushing that through government as hard as we can for the next year or however long it takes. On Wednesday, we have an in-person forum with Tanya Verge, who was the Minister involved for the Equalities and Feminism Ministry, and help push through that fantastic act. So we're going to hear from her on Wednesday. And we just launched a campaign today called To Break Up with Toxic Periods, because we're really concerned about the levels of toxic chemicals, not only in single-use disposables, but also in reusables as well. And it's linked to the stigma and taboo around menstruation, menstrual odor, menstrual blood, and somehow other. So we think the only answer to this is not just education, it's also regulation. And it's also addressing the barriers, the stigma and taboos around menstruation, and looking at the waste issue as well. And we can only do this. We don't address issues in isolation, we address them together. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you very much for this excellent event.
Yeah, thank you, Helen, for your announcement. Yeah, actually, I would like to ask, maybe somebody has any examples of incorporating the reusable products into their work during the projects. I know maybe one of our partners, one of our colleagues from Ukraine, they maybe Irina Mironova, she maybe could tell a bit more about that, about the project that they have as Zero Lviv organization from Ukraine.
Regarding the incorporating of the products, what we've learned it's very important to actually at the workshops to people attending the workshops, especially if they never saw the reusable products, to have an opportunity to touch them, to look about the difference, how they feel, how they look like, how they perform, to get some information on them. So in our work, we collected the so-called sample pack. We basically bought out all the products that are on the market currently. And in Ukrainian market, we also have some examples from other countries, and we keep bringing different examples of products from all over the world, including, for example, South Africa. And I think that African countries, and example from Cameroon today is an example that they have much more experience actually than we in Europe with reusables, with promotion of reusables, and with production of especially the textile products. For example, South Africa develop even the standard how the products should be designed, and the description of those. So we try to bring to our workshops as many different products and explain the differences, explain the what the commonalities, explain the use of the products and how to take care of them. And it's another important issue that many speakers today talk about it, is that the reusable products are usually more expensive at the beginning. So the free distribution of the products, especially for those can't afford them, is also a very important part of the how we can promote them better. So I'm again thankful to all our partners that help us to in this difficult time to bring more free products for Ukrainian menstruators. I noticed that we have Neil here with us, and maybe the men perspective would be interesting. So I would really like to pass the word to him. Neil, are you here with us?
I'm here. I'm here. I'm just hiding. Yeah, thank you very much indeed for the interesting discussion, and thank you for for allowing me to be part of what may be quite a private discussion for some people. And I've been explaining a little bit in the chat as to why I'm interested in this. I was very inspired by the RIT0 presentation at the Zero Waste Gathering in Ghent earlier this year, and that was really quite exciting. And I was particularly excited by the way in which the project built in long-term support for those people, for those people using menstrual products who needed to have that long-term support. So my interest in fact is to try to encourage something in my locality if I can. I'm in the county of Surrey in the UK. There are 3 universities in Surrey, and I have contacts in one of them in particular, in Surrey University. And I have a lot to find out. I have a lot to explore, but I'm just trying to find out how viable it would be to launch a project within the university as a very defined area, where hopefully there would be motivated people, mainly young people, who would be interested in taking part in a project to move over to using reusable menstrual products, and who might turn out to be ambassadors for these products around the world. Our universities have a very multinational student population. So we would have the opportunity to learn from them what they are already doing, what knowledge they would be bringing with them, and also what they could possibly pass on to other people. Anyway, that's enough from me, I think. And thank you again for allowing me to be part of this conversation.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Neil. That was really nice to hear the man's perspective, and also thank you for telling us a bit more about the work you are doing. So yeah, I think we can start a Q&A session officially. So I see one question from Vera Markova. Do you happen to have the Environmenstrual campaign social media images text-free? I would love to share them on my platforms, but I would need to translate the text first to Bulgarian for maximum impact and engagement. Maybe our technical team could answer to her. Yeah, so maybe we could contact through the email and we would send you materials, etc. Okay, so, but I see no other questions. I mean, relevant questions. Maybe those who have them could just jump in.
I was just wondering, has anyone got any experiences in working with universities in response to what Neil is saying, or the idea of working with universities to promote reusable menstrual items? I know that I've spoken with several universities that are providing or have provided reusable menstrual items to young people in the universities, but unfortunately, none of them, they do provide them and give them out through different formats, but none of them actually gather any data on kind of what has kind of gone on forward from that. Has it actually converted as such people or any real figures on take up of reusable menstrual items? But I was just wondering if there was anyone who had any kind of information on that within their own countries.
We have started to work with universities. In Herrero, we have done a project of incorporating sustainable menstrual friendly toilets. To our network of friendly toilets. We have incorporated more than 500 toilets of universities of this network. Yes, and it's a way also to do menstrual education, and we are getting some surveys of people are using this network, these toilets or not, and that's what we are doing in Reserve. We have a project of this.
Yeah, thank you, Laura.
And we will. I think it's a good public to address. Also, yes, thank you, Neil, for saying this. It's a good public to address. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I also see the question in the chat from Mia Uremovic. Hi, thanks for insightful presentation. I was wondering if you have any examples of how menstrual education is implemented in schools, aside from the Irish example. If you have any good practices or suggestions on how it could be taught well. Yeah, maybe somebody could take the floor and give their examples. I think, yeah.
In Ukraine, we have classes, special curriculum for middle school and then for the high school. It's a plan how the program general on menstruation should be taught. What is interesting that it's for the younger children, that program includes a lot of questions regarding menstruation for both girls and boys in the classroom, just to the idea of the class is actually to familiarize and remove the stigma around menstruation. It's not so much about the reusables per se, but it's important to understand that before talking about reusables, we have to make sure that topic of menstruation is covered in general. But then for the for the high school students, it's more rounded around sexual education, and also is for mixed group and class. I hope that with all of the translation can be accessible. So that it's in Ukrainian, but with artificial intelligence tools, we can translate it easily. Interesting.
Yeah. Thank you a lot, Irina. Yeah, so I can also see our time for now. It's 9 p.m. So I think we need to slowly wrap up. We actually have really interesting question in the chat from Vera Markova about the distribution of menstrual health books in schools. Because in Bulgaria that was quite problematic because of difficulties and a lot of shame regarding periods. Yeah, so this is really interesting question to discuss, but we unfortunately need to wrap up. Yeah, so maybe somebody could just say a few words about that. Maybe somebody has experience in distribution of some menstrual education materials, how to avoid this shame in the community where you distribute these materials. Yeah, or maybe we can just think about that for the future.
I could just say quickly that as part of my research, I studied a book that is available to Irish secondary school children called Busybodies. And that's kind of a general health pamphlet that's distributed, but it is very minimal on period education, and it only talks about single-use period products. So it's not fit for purpose. That was one of my recommendations, that it needs to be updated, actually educating people on what the period products are, what the options are, what the implications are for human health and the environment, because it's very, very basic and very old-fashioned. So that's, I'm not sure, Abby, if that's changed in the last couple of years, but when I did the dissertation, it was definitely not fit for purpose. And for 2023, it was pretty shocking. So that was one of my recommendations, that we need better pamphlets about general health that includes that info.
One of the things I just wanted to add that Helen put in the chat there is that we have gathered, as part of the MENSY project, information on menstrual education across the 8 partner countries. And what we're going to be doing is putting together a map and actually mapping, you know, different initiatives and education and costs associated with menstruation. And when that's completed, it'll be on all of our consortium partners' websites, as well as the periodpower.eu website that we have for this project. So that we'll be able to compile the information and share it in that way.
Yeah, thank you, Abby. Yes, so I think this is the time for us to wrap up. So as we come to the end of our webinar, I would like to take a moment to thank all our wonderful speakers today, and also for audience, because I really love how this session came out. because it became really super interactive webinar, and I really love it. So thanks everyone, and this has been a very enlightening discussion, and we appreciate all the hard work you are doing to address menstrual education, poverty, and sustainability. Before we wrap up, I would like to announce an exciting opportunity that Abi already said a few times before, but I think this is still important to say about it again. We are looking for members to join our advisory council. So we are seeking for young people and professionals who work with young people to help us develop materials for this important topic. So our first meeting will be in a month, and if you are interested, please find the link to the registration form in the chat. But I hope we will be also able to send you the links by email. Once again, thank you everyone for attending, and we hope you found the webinar helpful and inspiring. Don't forget to check the chat for links to the speakers, social media, and the organization involved in this event. You can also see on this slide our Instagrams, our consortium members' Instagram. So just follow us and you will see all the news about MENSY. So have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you in our future sessions together. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
not
you.
able to apply.
Thank you.
because
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
I do not have
Thanks,
my-
folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Hi, Yasia.
Yeah, thank you, Francoise.
Yes, the link on the advisory board has just the 8 countries, and so I'm
Yeah.
not able to apply
Oh,
because there's an asterisk on the countries. There's no order, and it's not working for me. Thank you.
okay, but Abi, what do you think about that? It's not possible, right?
Sorry,
For...
what did you say? Sorry.
Yes, so can I also maybe try and answer? It was because the link is for youth from our partner countries, but Françoise, like we can also send you the materials if you want to also give us your feedback. I think it's possible and more than welcome. Maybe there is something that we missed out on, so we would be happy to keep in touch regarding the development of the training materials. And of course, we once we have them, we will for sure disseminate them as wide as possible. So they will be available to use also in many settings, so it can be shared.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I really hope it can be still helpful somehow. Yeah. So I think this is mostly our technical team right now.
Can we stop recording?
Yeah, thank you.